I give the call to Member for Holt.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I rise today to start off with by thanking our frontline workers and local residents in my electorate for their response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Locally in the city of Casey, I think we've had about 70 active cases of the coronavirus. In particular, I wanted to thank the frontline workers, the doctors, the nurses and our testing officials at the Casey Hospital, the Cranbourne Integrated Care and Westfield Fountain Gate pop-up testing facilities for their work, and others for keeping our community safe. I wanted to thank our community organisations like the Cranbourne Information Support Service as well for their work to provide emergency relief to those in need during this pandemic and during this time of crisis. I think, particularly in speaking of the sacrifices that have been made by those in my constituency, to those that have lost their jobs, to those that have had diminished working hours, there's been a sense of cohesion, of community, of understanding the joint sacrifice that's been made to beat this pandemic. And I wanted to commend the government and the state premiers for the work that they've done in a cohesive, collaborative, collective way to keep our country safe. And that has been mirrored by the sacrifice and the resolve of those people out in my constituency. The one thing I think that they would say, those that have lost their jobs, those that have suffered a diminution in income, those that have experienced mental health challenges because of the isolation, what we're asking people to do and what people did in such astounding numbers and so quickly with so much discipline was they're almost giving themselves a form of home detention to keep the community safe. And I think that's often what's forgotten, that home detention is used as a form of punishment. But we asked the Australian community to in effect, put themselves into home detention with time out for leave, to go shopping, to exercise, etc. And the fact that they did that in such great numbers says a lot about Australia's community spirit. And in that vein, I think that great community spirit offers a window in terms of where we should be conducting ourselves, the national debate about where we need to go. We can't have made these sacrifices as a community without wanting politics to change a bit, to imagine a future where all Australians have a stakeholding, where we all work together collectively. We all look after each other, that hand reaching down to lift others up rather than pushing people down. And so particularly to those, again, in the Australian community, in my constituency that made that sacrifice, that kept themselves at home, that isolated themselves, thank you again on behalf of us all here. What we have to do now in this place is to ensure that that spirit of sacrifice, that spirit of coming together, of sacrificing for the common good, is kept so that we have policies that include all Australians, not just some.
Thank you for your contribution. I give the call to the member.